So MEMO Paris is a brand that has been around since 2007. So they've been around quite a bit. I have always been intrigued by their leather collection. As I said, they also have a floral collection. They also have another collection around seeds, I think it is. But basically all the fragrances are around different locations based on travels from the founders of the brand. The original leather from MEMO is Irish leather. And this one is, as you may guess, from Ireland, inspired by Irish leather. I guess going to pubs, the Irish lifestyle, folklore, that kind of thing. And this one is the original leather. It was created for the founder's husband. And this I would call a fougère-esque type of leather. So a leather that has a lavendery, barbershop-y quality to begin with, but the dry down is the typical MEMO dry down. Dry down is more ambery, spicy than anything. And yeah, you can really see how the rest of the leathers take on their form based off of this original leather, which is the Irish leather that has that typical MEMO warm ambery dry down. So instead of using what you would usually put into a fougère fragrance, which is lavender, they've used juniper berries and mate. So it has this gin tonic type of opening, and then with this green mate in it as well. It's definitely one of their bestseller leathers. And like I said, it was made for the co-founder of MEMO, the husband, who also has Irish origins. So yeah, this one is a really, I would say, if you are trying to enter into the MEMO leathers, this one would be a good introductory leather. Because of the way that it's formed, being fougère-esque, it will tend to appeal more to men, but that's up to you what you would decide to wear. But if you like a little bit of a barbershop-y quality to your fragrances, then I'm sure you would enjoy Irish leather. The next leather fragrance from MEMO is Italian leather, and this one is one of my favorite leathers personally. It is the most akin to Tuscan leather. A lot of leathers out in the market are either derivatives of Tuscan leather or Bel Ami by Hermès. So this one is the closest to the Tuscan leather form of being a more rugged, straightforward leather. The leather is kind of like, it's punchy. It's more petroleum-esque, which I like. It's a fragrance that packs a punch. A lot of these do. They're made to last. The ingredients are not, you know, that of a fully natural brand. They do have a lot of nice aroma chemicals in there to make these fragrances last. Italian leather is interesting because it has a combination of tomato leaf and myrrh and vanilla absolute in there with this leather accord that they've created. It dries down with that warm ambery MEMO leather dry down that comes from that Irish leather accord as well. But it also dries down sweeter because of this vanilla absolute that's inside the fragrance. So I would say that this one is definitely unisex. All of these are unisex. I will say that it might be a little bit on the masculine side for some. And I really enjoy this one. That tomato leaf makes it sharp and kind of petroleum-esque to begin with, which I really like. And then the dry down goes sweeter. So it's a nice evening leather fragrance, I would say. The next fragrance is French leather. So this one was released a year after the two previous ones, which were released in 2013. And this one is more of a suede direction. This one is more of a soft type of leather fragrance. It has a sweet rose amongst it. It's a little bit more delicate, a little bit more romantic than the previous two leather fragrances. So this one is also quite nice. I would say that this one is more, perhaps more females would also enjoy this fragrance. But yeah, I love a rugged leather, so I would wear the two prior ones easy peasy, but this one is very nice, soft, romantic with a sweet rose in it and more suede-y. The next leather is another really popular one. It is called African leather, and this one is the spiciest one out of the bunch. It is probably, for me, it's like the sexiest one of the bunch. It does have that super spicy leather, warm dry down, and if you are a fan of LDDM by Tower, L'air du désert Marocain, you would absolutely enjoy this fragrance, although I will say LDDM is still superior. It's a point of view, but anyways, this one has saffron and cardamom mixed in here with a leather that's quite prominent. And yeah, I will say that this one smells more synthetic than LDDM does. But yeah, don't come for me, people. Let me know what you think in the comments and I'm happy to discuss. But yeah, this one is a really nice leather that is spicy, warm, and very sexy. The next one is Russian leather, so inspired by Russia, inspired by the cold. This one is with pine and mint, so it's supposed to give off that cold air feel. It is a fougère with that leather accord again, so kind of building on that Irish leather base. It's meant to be a lot more cold in its presence. So this one I find interesting. It's not one of my favorite leathers, but there are definitely people who enjoy this one as well. I will say though that a lot of perfume purists might say that they do not smell a lot of leather in these fragrances, and I can agree with that. They are not straightforward leathers. They are very much leathers that people who are used to fragrances that are commercial would easily venture into. So they are not the most daring out there leather fragrances. They're pretty easygoing, pretty likable. So there's no need to worry if you are in that stage of your fragrance journey. The next fragrance is Moroccan Leather, inspired by one of my favorite places to visit, Morocco. And this one is one of the more indulgent leathers as well. It becomes quite buttery. It's got orris butter in here. This one is a little bit sharp to begin with as well. It has some ginger and cypriol oil in there to grab your attention. It's kind of one of those fragrances that transforms a lot as well. This one is also very similar to Iris Malikhân by that Instagram brand Maison Crivelli. I do prefer Iris Malikhân though over this one if I were to choose, because the ingredients just smell a bit more natural. If you are interested in a leather fragrance that has orris butter incorporated into it though, and would like to try something from MEMO, then this is the one to try. This fragrance has that interplay between typically masculine notes and typically feminine notes, so it's pretty well balanced off. The next one is Oriental Leather, and I feel like this one is maybe harder to find. You don't hear as much about this one. This one is spicy as well. It's spicy like African leather, but it's spicy in a different direction. This spice gives off a kind of incensey vibe to it. It has this lightness to it. It doesn't have this warm richness to it the same way that African leather does. So this one is more along the lines of, if the other one was more along the lines of LDDM, this one is more along the lines of Opium. So it has that frankincense olibanum oil feel to it. So it has the spiciness, but it's more of a resinous warmth, a resinous type of spiciness of something that is burning in an incense burner. So that's Oriental Leather. The next fragrance is also quite unusual. It is called Ocean Leather. So this is leather combined with a marine-like accord. This is leather with sage and mandarin oil. And yeah, this is interesting. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not so much into ocean aquatics, but if you do like that kind of accord mixed in with your leather, would like to try something different, then try out Ocean Leather. The next fragrance is Sicilian Leather, and this is again that characteristic leather accord mixed with Sicilian lemon. So lemon's the only grow in Sicily. This one is more of an everyday type of leather. It is one that kind of grew a little bit on me. It has those sharp citruses to begin with, and then with cedar oil as well. So it has that typically masculine daytime fragrance feel to it, and then combined with this leather accord. The dry down of Sicilian leather is quite woody as well, so the citruses do stay on. They are the kind that last for a long time because they've been enhanced, and so you have this woody, citrusy, leathery dry down. So the last fragrance I'm going to talk about is Iberian Leather, and this is their latest release to the leather line. This was released just a few weeks ago and is also the reason why I decided to make this video, because this one is made around the now very popular thing about going for fragrances based on how long they last. And so MEMO has created a fragrance that lasts for days and days. There is such a high content of fragrance oil in this fragrance, and I tried it myself and couldn't even scrub it off. So if you enjoy the fougère-esque quality, pretty much a lot of the qualities of all of the previous leathers put into one. If you enjoy, you know, that fougere accord, if you enjoy some spices in there as well, and you enjoy your punchy leather, then you might be interested in trying out Iberian leather. MEMO has also thrown in some oud in there, so this is one of the more like complex, as in they've thrown in a lot of things into this leather, but generally speaking, it smells a lot akin to Irish leather, just even more potent and even more long lasting. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video on the MEMO leathers. Please let me know if you are interested in this brand and hearing more about this brand. I find that they are quite pricey, so definitely do not blind buy these fragrances. Try to get some samples before you buy anything, and as always, just even if I recommend something that costs, you know, $10 or whatever, try it before you buy it, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.